Hey guys, welcome back to another Militaria-ish video, and today we're going to be talking about my hat collection. So, just like my patch collection video, this video is going to be, well, talking about my hats, but also, it is kind of Militaria related. I know some of these hats aren't full-on Militaria, or, well, they don't fall into that category, but, you know, I wanted to do this video for fun, and I wanted to add in some other related content to my channel. So, with that all out of the way, let's talk about the various hats I've collected over the past few years. Our first hat is this. This is my camouflage Adidas hat. It's a pretty simple hat, and how I got it was also pretty simple. I've had this hat since my junior year of high school, and in December 2021, me and my dad were at the local mall, and I wanted to get an Adidas hat because around that time I did have a black Adidas hat, but it broke, so I was like, well, damn, I should get a new one. And because if you don't know anything about me, I am a fan of Adidas, so when I saw this hat in the hat store, I was like, oh, I've got to buy this. And I bought it for about, I think, $15 or $20, I believe. So yeah, not too expensive. And the other thing I added after Christmas was this American flag pin. I got that as a Christmas gift from, I think it was my mom. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's just a simple hat. I've never had issues with it. It's pretty comfortable and pretty durable. So let's go on to the next hat. Here is my Belgian jigsaw hat. I've had this hat since, I believe, the spring or the summer of 2023. I did a whole review of Belgian jigsaw, so if you want to check that out, I highly recommend you do. But it's a very typical baseball-like hat. It has some Velcro patches right here and on the top, as well as, let's just flip it over here, the back, and you can also tighten it or loosen it with this Velcro end right here. Yeah, so it's a pretty cool hat, and I will say, it's for a pretty, I would say, rare camouflage pattern. That's another reason why I like this hat, so that's a really cool one to add to my collection. So let's go on to the next one. This here is my Coors Radio hat, and it's a pretty cool, I do like the design of it. It gives me that retro look to this. I got this hat a few months ago back in Easter as a gift from my sister. So Kenzie, if you're watching this, I love the hat. I just love this hat, and it's a pretty simple hat too. So right here, it's just you got the front design, and on the back here, you have the little plastic things, so you can either loosen it or tighten it, just, you know, the usual baseball cap stuff. So let's talk about my next hat, which is probably one of my favorites. Here is my Jacksonville Jaguars hat. So ever since I moved down to the St. Augustine area, I've been a pretty good fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I've only been to one of their games, but in a few weeks I'm going to be going to their game when they're playing against the Chargers, so that's going to be cool. I got this hat from my sister last year as a Christmas gift, so that's also cool. So I would like to say thank you to my sister Kenzie. This was a great hat, and I love it. So it's just a stereotypical, well, not stereotypical, but a typical sports hat. You got the logo on the front here, and on the back, you get the little metal thing, so if you want to tighten it or loosen it, you can. So yeah, just pretty simple. And now let's go on to my other hat. This right here is my Multicam Boonie hat. I got this hat in October 2021 as part of a Halloween costume. So I was going up as a US soldier, and I was not going to wear USP because I think that's the worst camouflage pattern ever known to man. So I wanted to go with a camouflage pattern that was pretty decent. So that's why I chose Multicam. So right here, I also want to show you something cool. It has this little string right here, so you can tighten it or loosen it. But also, this was crap. So just have to show you guys. But this hat was actually made in the United States. So this isn't a replica or anything. This is a pretty cool. This is a genuine Army hat that I have, and I gotta say, it's pretty cool to have this to my collection, and I am so glad that the surplus store I was at was selling this because it's just it's a pretty cool hat, and I do like the boonie style of hats. It kind of reminds me of a, I can't remember the exact style of hat, but I'll put it on screen once I find it, because I do like this type of style of hat. So with that out of the way, let's go on to another one of my favorite hats. Right here is my Remington hat, and I have an interesting story behind this. A few years ago, I was at a shooting range in Orlando, and I saw that this was on sale in the little gift shop area. The main reason why I wanted to get it wasn't really because of its design, but it was because of some things with my family. You see, my grandfather grew up near the, my grandfather lived in the same town that the original Remington factory in Ilion was. So I thought that was pretty cool to have some family connections. He didn't work at the factory, but he did, again, he lived by it, so that was cool to learn. But the other reason why I did want to get it was because, well, I'll admit, yeah, the design was cool. So these little damaged areas that you see here on the hat, right here, I did not do this. This was just part of the design. And just like with my Belgian jigsaw hat right here, it's pretty cool. And if you want to tighten it or loosen it, you just use these Velcro things, so that's pretty cool. And I've had this hat now, like I've said, for about 3 years, and I've never really had an issue with the hat. It's pretty simple. So let's go on to my next favorite hat. Right here is my Rhodesian brushstroke hat. I've had this hat for almost a year now. I got this last year as a Christmas gift, so to my mom, if you're watching this, thank you very much for the hat, and it's pretty simple. Just like with my Belgian brushstroke hat, it has a similar design, albeit just in Rhodesian brushstroke. It has 3 Velcro areas right here, so first on the front, then on the top, and right at the back, so if you want to put some patches there, you can. And if you want to tighten it or loosen it, you can use this Velcro thing, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Never really had issues with this hat, and I've been wearing it since December 2024, so it's a pretty decent and cool hat. And I do like that it's in Rhodesian brushstroke, so that's another cool detail to the hat. And let's go on to my other favorite hat. So this is my Syracuse Orangeman and also camo hat. I got this last year also as a Christmas gift from my dad, so if you're watching this, thank you very much, Dad. And it's a pretty simple baseball cap. It has some camouflage here at the brim, and the rest of it is black, so it is it's also one of my few Nike products. I'm not like a huge Nike fan, but you know what? This is an exception to the rule. So right here you have the Syracuse Orangeman emblem. You also have an American flag. And right here you have the Nike logo, and at the back you have Syracuse. And if you want to tighten or loosen it, you can also use this little metal bar thing that has a similar design to my Adidas hat right here that I forgot to point out, but now I'm doing it. And also my Jacksonville Jaguar hat, so yeah. And it's a pretty simple hat. I've never really haven't had much issues with it. I haven't worn it in a while, so that's why it looks a bit dusty, so I'll sorry about that. But let's go on to my final hat. And here is my US Woodland hat. Now, as I don't know if you can tell by the appearance, but it's a bit beat up, but I'll explain. I bought this hat in, I believe, March or April 2023. I could be wrong, but I do remember buying this in my senior year of high school, just right before I graduated. And so just like with my Belgian brushstroke and my Rhodesian brushstroke hat, it contains 3 Velcro areas where you can put a patch on, so right at the front, the top, and at the bottom. And you can also use this little Velcro thing to make your hat loose or tighten it more, so whatever floats your boat. So you might be asking me, why the hell does it look so beat up? Well, it's because I used this as a hat whenever I was working out or also doing physical labor. So that would be like helping my dad set up his dock and whatnot, and it did get a bit dirty. And I did put it through the washing machine a couple of times whenever it did get dirty, and it's still together here. Granted, some of the colors are a bit, it is, as you can tell, it is a bit dilated in some areas, but you know what? It's a decent hat, and it's still just it's still holding on. So I'm not getting rid of it. I will not get rid of it, and it's a pretty strong hat. It has lost a bit of its curve right here on the brim, so that kind of sucks, but you know what? It's not too bad in my opinion. Yeah. So that was just my review of all my hats. Well, my hat collection so far. Just like with my patch collection video, I'm gonna do this like once a year. So I would post this again next year in 2026, but maybe towards like, well, not towards like, maybe in December to make it a bit more Christmas themed, but whatever happens, happens. So yeah. Well, guys, I hope you liked that video, and if you did, make sure you click the like button down below, and make sure you follow me on all my social media accounts. I will have them linked in the description. And tune in tomorrow when I review a video that's actually military related. I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but let's just say it will be my first review of shoes. Well, kind of. But it will also, but it will also be my first unboxing video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!